I'm so excited for our next event. We're going to head out into the Pacific. We're going to spend a little bit of time in Hawaii, and it's going to be pretty great. We have Jonatha Giddens joining us. She is an ocean ecologist and the chief scientist for the National Geographic Society Exploration Technology Lab Deep Sea Research Project. So as a marine scientist by training, she's an artist at heart. She strives to integrate technology, science, and art in her ocean exploration work. So through collaborations with explorers around the world, her mission is to help illuminate the amazing diversity of life in the ocean and inspire people to care about the sea. So let's bring her in live with us right now. Jonatha, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm good. I'm good. It's so great to see you live, as close to in person as we can. And I'm so excited for you to share some of your work and your explorations around the world.
I'm so excited to share. Thank you for hosting this incredible event this weekend.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you take over for a little bit. A reminder to those tuning in, fill up that sidebar with questions. We're looking forward to a little Q&A action.
All right. So I'll go ahead and share my screen, which will be here. Okay, Joe, can you see my screen?
It didn't come up yet.
Okay.
You selected, if you pick entire screen, that first option, and then you just have to click that little picture of your screen down below, and that should light up the share button.
Screen selection. Oh, I know what I need to do. Let's do this. And then now I can do this. Now I can share.
That's looking promising. I see something coming up.
Okay, and so the final step is to make this full. Is that it?
Perfect. Looks good.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in today. What I'd like to share with you is some of my, I guess, what I love about my job working with the National Geographic Society Exploration Technology Lab doing deep sea research, and kind of stories and images to show a perspective of how art and science can work together to help illuminate the wonders of the deep ocean and to draw human connections to the sea so that people will care to conserve our precious ocean. So I'll go ahead and get started. So to start off, just working in science and exploration is an incredible thing to do. What I love about my job is that I get to work with explorers all over the world, providing tools and training for them to expand their research into the deep sea. And this is possible because the Exploration Technology Lab developed this deep sea camera system that is an incredible innovation for observing the deep ocean and getting to places that we normally don't get to go. This is a relatively low cost way of observing the deep sea, and where normally we would need, human operated vehicles, very expensive equipment. This is lightweight and low cost, autonomous. It's not tethered to the ship. It's programmed to record for a number of hours, and then it pops up to the surface and brings back valuable imagery from the deep sea of places that we otherwise would not be able to go. And so because of this incredible innovation for deep ocean observing, these cameras have been all over the world, mostly with pristine seas expeditions. But just this year, or last year, and we're really getting going this year, National Geographic launched an opportunity with the Exploration Technology Lab for National Geographic explorers, marine scientists to apply to use these cameras to advance their research into the deep sea. So I get to go all around the world and work with incredible people to discover our deep ocean. And so I'll just show you some clips of the deep sea, because we normally, it's a very out of sight and out of mind for a lot of people. We normally don't think about it that much. It's so far and remote, we don't have these images. And it's so important to gather these images and to show the world the incredible life that's under the deep ocean. Because though it's often portrayed as remote and alien, which it is very strange life forms, but the deep sea is actually integral to our life here on the surface. It's integral to these great big planetary cycles, and it makes life habitable on Earth. And so a lot of times when we drop these cameras and see what's down there, what's never been seen before, we're kind of making discoveries with each drop sometimes, like a new species, a new range extension, a new view into reproductive biology of these fish species that we never knew what habitats they use. And this information is all critical for the management of the deep sea so that we can protect the ocean. So, I mean, here, nobody in the Solomon Islands, this is actually video of inside of a volcano, and nobody expected to see this incredible life there. And so it's always an act of discovery and wonder to bring back these amazing images. And so what I want to share with you now is an aha moment that I had while on expedition in the Seychelles. And then what I did with that aha moment to try and see, how can we foster more of these aha moments in our expeditions and not just bring back numbers, but how do we get people to connect? And so my aha moment is I was a couple hundred meters down in this submersible, and I had my data sheet and I was scribbling along, filling in the numbers that are needed as a scientist when you go down there to gather all the data from this incredibly expensive way of exploring. And we approached this incredible geologic formation, which the pilot told me was actually the sea level, however many eons ago. And that sea level had sunk. And he could, because he had been all around the world in these submersibles, he could recognize at this certain depth that sea level, and he could see that geologic formation across all these expeditions. And it was in that moment where I forgot to write down my numbers, and I just felt so connected to the cycles of life on Earth, because with my imagination, I switched from my analytical way of looking, and with my imagination, I could imagine that sea level so many years ago. I could imagine myself there. I could see the sea change that happened over that long period of time being submerged. And I realized later when I was journaling about this and sketching, because I grew up drawing, and that's kind of how I always saw myself, was an artist. And I just went in the science path because we need scientists to help conserve the ocean. But I didn't know there was a place for art with science yet. But in this moment, I realized that we need our imagination and these different ways of thinking to really be able to connect to a place and to be able to share those aha moments. And so I thought to myself over that course of that expedition was, how do we foster that feeling? And so that aha moment was like a gift, a flash of inspiration. And like, how do we make ourselves more receptive to have these more often? And so I looked back into the history and philosophy of science and did this amazing research and realized that even in the history of science, there were these thinkers long ago. It's not, and people today too, it's not as common, but in the history of Western science, there were people, especially Goethe, who, this quote here, who developed methodologies to foster more of a participatory way of exploring our world. And that is to become, so I'll just read this quote: "If we wish to achieve a living understanding of nature, we must follow her example and make ourselves as mobile and flexible as nature herself." And so this methodology is a way to work with our observations outwardly and inwardly, to become a participant in what we are exploring. And I just love this. I delved deep into that literature, and I came up with a short field journaling handbook, a small a course that kind of distilled, these thinkers like Goethe from the past and people who are doing this kind of work today, into kind of a guidebook for explorers who want to bring in more of this participatory approach, so that they can share the wonder of exploration to help people connect to what they're exploring, to love the world and want to protect it. And so these field journaling activities are observation exercises, short ones, drawing exercises, very simple, but ways of becoming mobile and flexible in thought, and creative writing, especially in the form of haiku, which is an ancient Japanese form of poetry. And the thing about haikus that I love, and that's very pertinent to this type of work, is that the point is to really distill, use concrete images, and have it be very simple and quiet, and kind of juxtapose those concrete images so that the listener, it invokes a feeling within the listener. And so I want to give a couple of examples of this from recent expeditions. But first I want to just juxtapose the kind of two ways of thinking. So the first is this scientific article that we published, and the title is First Observation. So listen to the feeling that it evokes as I read it. First observation of Hydralagus melanophasma, Chondrichthyes chimeriforms, holocephali, aggregation with egg cases extruding from a female. So this is our scientific article, which is super important because nobody had ever seen these eggs before. We didn't know that this very little known species used this habitat. And so we need that, and that goes directly into conservation and management. And that's the type of thinking and work that we need to move conservation forward. Alongside that, I also did this drawing from that experience of researching this animal, and I wrote this haiku. So just listen to the images and then see in the silence what feeling comes up from going into those inner images that are evoked. Deep under dark sea, chimera forms gathering. Life begins anew. And so to me, this is an extension of our present scientific methodology, in that we need that abstract thinking, but then we also need that connection because we all understand, from being alive, it's our human experience, that the cycles of life and witnessing rebirth. And so this is how I, move forward in building these connections. And so the next two are from recent expeditions with explorers this past year. Again, just listen to the images and think about feel the feeling that emerges with these images. Bahamas, 2021. A blue, blue ocean. Tigress skips gently across, fathoming the deep. Palau, 2021. Green rock dotted blue, darkness, waiting and searching, sleeper shark, waking. And so I shared these with you as kind of an example of how, it's not, many of you may know, or if you don't know, you should know that going out on these expeditions are you're exhausted, you're not sleeping enough, things are going wrong, you're always going with the flow. There's not a lot of time to sit and philosophize and to, do these, very detailed drawings or write epic poems. But these are just examples of how, a quick sketch, a quick reflection, thinking about how the place had moved you. This can be very valuable for making that connection to the sea, to the process of exploration of the sea, and how important it is to our life because we're all connected to it. And so when we pick up our notebooks and we do this kind of exploration, we're joining a long history of naturalists who have done this and which have, I'm sure, led to their great insights that have changed the world. So it's a practice, to just pick up and start doing if you're so inclined. And many of you, I'm sure, know the late E.O. Wilson, the legendary biologist. And he wrote, "If there is a heaven and I am allowed entrance, I will ask for no more than an endless living world to walk through and explore. I will carry with me an inexhaustible supply of notebooks. Along the way, I would meet kindred spirits." So many of you may know that E.O. Wilson passed away just a couple of months ago. And so this quote gives me chills to think about him in his endless living world to walk through and explore, as we have here on Earth when we pay attention, and his inexhaustible supply of notebooks, as we can, keep buying notebooks and pick up this practice. And I like to think of us, you and me, as the kindred spirits that he would meet along the way, and that we are carrying on this legacy of what he started here on Earth. And so to sum it up, what I hope to have shown you is that science and technology can provide a window into the deep, which we need to move conservation forward for the deep ocean and for the ocean in general. And that art-integrated exploration can provide a mirror for us to see ourselves in relationship to the ocean and share that wonder of the world with others to inspire them to care about the earth. And please, this is my contact information, so please reach out if you have any questions, get in touch, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
All right, Jonatha, thank you so much. What a great presentation. And I certainly hope Ed has found that world of limitless exploration. He's filling notebooks right now. So thank you so much. What really resonated with me is you sharing that first little title, right? I think science can sometimes seem so inaccessible to people when they see a title like that or a journal article. Yeah. But when you incorporate art and imagery like that, it makes science so much more accessible to everybody. So I think that's such an important tool in science communication. We do need to make science more accessible to everybody.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. And also to show that, people might be put off by science and not, I didn't think of myself as a scientist. I actually went, I remember starting my undergraduate degree at the University of Hawaii, and I signed up for marine science because I was so inspired by Bob Ballard, the ocean explorer. And he was the first one who told me that, we are needed, and go out there and explore and go do it. And so I was going to study marine science, but I got scared when I enrolled it as that major. And I actually went to my advisor and I told him, I said, I'm really not really a scientist. I'm an artist. Do you think I can do this? And he told me that I should probably do art. And, I think I just didn't believe him. And that didn't resonate. So I continued on the science path, and I didn't think for years on end, I didn't think there was a place for an artist, for somebody who thinks differently. But now you just kind of keep going And, as Sylvia talked about, what you're good at and what you're passionate about, follow that, and magic happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, your talk resonated with viewers tonight. Daisy is saying that your art is stunning. Kathy says, she adored your presentation and your teaching style. Sylvia is joining us from Brazil, and she says that passion we have for nature and the ocean doubly expressed. So thank you so much. We do have another question here. So what's your hope for the future of creative forms of communication? So like haiku and art within the science community and research?
Well, I really hope that more scientists will engage in this practice as well, because scientists, we have this opportunity to go to places that many people can't go. Like, you need a permit to get there, and I think it's just, if you go and all you bring, not all, but you need the data and to write the papers. But like, what if more people kept these notebooks and these journals and could express that connection more. So people who are, I hope for the future that people who are artistically inclined will go into science, and also that people who are very science inclined will try art, because I learned when I was very little that I grew up drawing. Like, that's how I processed information. I drew all the time, and I read a book called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, which, it was teaching you how to kind of access that. And the very first thing that it said is that people think, oh, I'm not an artist. Everybody is. We all have right and left sides of the brain. So it kind of, I'm hoping for more of a diversity and this melding of art and science into the future, not just at the end of an expedition. I know that we'll go collect our data and then write up the papers, and then it's time to do the outreach part, but incorporating it into the very process itself. And also I know that there's a lot of like artists at sea programs where you have artists invited along on an expedition to kind of see what the scientists are doing, and to have that in multidiscipline, those cross-disciplinary conversations. But what if we melded that even more, so that our processes are not just conversation, but engaging in the science itself and in the artist itself? Because I guess we're all artists and scientists.
All right. Awesome. Absolutely. We are all artists and scientists for sure. Staying curious and such. Some are better artists than others. Myself, if you saw a picture of a shark I drew, I think you'd find it quite amusing, but I don't think it matters what your skill is. If you're putting something down on paper, it means something to you. I think it can be, a really important experience.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I want to end today by just a quick question about the technology. I was lucky enough on board the Nautilus to see some deployments of the drop cams and recoveries of the drop cams. So can you kind of tell us a little bit more about the drop cam and, just how exciting of a tool it is for deep sea exploration?
Well, that's so exciting. I mean, it's like, you put it together. You can carry it in your luggage. You check it on a plane if you want, a couple of Pelican cases. You put it together, and it's just like the size of this basketball with some lights on it. Actually, the video that I showed, that was an earlier version. We have a new one, the next generation, that is smaller, and it's compact. And so just being able to, dart off on a small boat, accessing the deep sea, and be able to just drop these cameras into the water and then wait. And then when it comes up, it's like Christmas every time. We all are so excited to see what is on that video. And, it's exploration, well, science and exploration. So sometimes, we hit a bunch of sand, we don't see anything. Sometimes we don't know what that is, and we see this incredible behavior of like these sharks. As some of them you could see in the video, the six-gill sharks coming and going after the bait, and just this incredible footage of these huge creatures that live under so deep underwater. And it's such an amazing feeling to to be able to go do, well, let's look and see what's down here, and then you can see it. It's like magic. So yeah, incredible technology. As I said in the beginning, that most deep sea exploration tools are expensive and clunky. When you need big ships, you need a lot of money to be able to just even take a glimpse of that deep ocean. And so that's why, because it's so hard to get there, that's why we have such limited knowledge of the deep sea. So these deep sea cameras, these lightweight, low cost deep sea cameras, are really opening up this window into the deep ocean. So it's an incredible advancement in deep ocean observing.
And it's so exciting too, because it drops down. You get this tiny glimpse of this small part of this deep sea, and it must just get the wheels turning. What else is out there in this incredible expanse that we've just kind of nicked at the surface of exploring on our planet? It's pretty darn exciting.
It is. It's so exciting. So it's incredible also to work with people, explorers all over the world who are working in their home country, trying to push conservation and management of the ocean forward. And they're limited. They're like, we don't know what is out there for the deep sea. And to be able to bring this technology to their location and work with them on their science plans, on the analysis, and getting that information out into the world with such a wonderful cohort of people is such a joy. So yeah, I feel incredibly lucky.
All right. Well, I want to share this one more time. I know you shared it already, but I'm going to put it up there as well. If you do want to follow along Jonatha's adventures as she explores and discovers, I'm sure there'll be some art and haiku there as well. So definitely take a look at that Twitter and that Instagram account and make sure you're following along. Jonatha, what a pleasure. It's always great to see you. It's been a while since it's been in person, but again, so good to see you. Such great work. It's exciting to hear that you're able to get back out there, connect with explorers, and use this amazing tool to help them, in conservation and to explore the environment around them.
Thank you so much, Joe. Great to see you.
All right. Have a great rest of the weekend.
You too.